Okay, great. So I think you can all see this slide. So thanks very much for the introduction, Shaq. So my name is Nikhil Vadgama. I am Deputy Director of the UCL Center for Blockchain Technology. So we do all sorts of interesting things in the blockchain environment. And as mentioned, for LTIC, along with myself and some colleagues who are coming from backgrounds not only in academia, and including myself, who have also come from finance, or also working at leading law firms and implementing technology there, and also from technology companies, have come together to basically deliver modules on blockchain and smart contracts. And the purpose, really, when we're putting these together, is I think now, to a certain extent, we're past the point of hype. We're past the point of where we're constantly just reading about this is what blockchain is and this is what it can do, but it's time to start to understand about actually how we can apply it, what are the use cases we are seeing with it, and how can we think about frameworks that can be applied, that can be used to apply blockchain in real life scenarios that are occurring. And so this builds on some of the work we're doing, in particular around coming up with some of these frameworks around applications of distributed ledger technology, and also in particular about thinking about smart contracts, and in fact also how smart contracts are applied legally, and having a legal framework around smart contract implementation and where that can occur. So given that the purpose of this module really is to help you think about the practical application and to get your hands on actually dealing with what blockchains are actually all about. And so we start off really with briefly introducing the concept, which you'll be able to take on your e-learning module, and then we go through elements of what we've designed, which is around, what is a DLT canvas. So if you're familiar with a business model canvas, which is a tool that helps you pick apart how to think about a business model, this DLT canvas helps you think about how to apply distributed ledger technology, about where, when, and how in particular to deploy it. And so once you have, an example from ourselves on how to use this particular tool, we'll work with you on how you think about applying it to which particular business area you're in. That also has elements of smart contracts in it and where they could apply and in what legal situations. And then building on top of that that practical understanding of how you can apply it, to actually understanding what is the mechanics of applying it with respect to actually getting your hands dirty in terms of coding up some aspects and interacting with blockchains. So that's pretty much the second part, and with the workshops and so forth, where we'll basically work with you to navigate around public blockchains, to spin up some private permission blockchains and see actually, can I put something tangible to this thing which is often misunderstood and difficult to visualize? Can I interact with it? And then after that, simply we go through helping you code up your first smart contract, and this will either be on the Ethereum blockchain or on Corda, and thereafter you'll be able to create a token and be able to play around with some simple dApps, of which we can do something around a simple voting app or a simple supply chain dApp. So that's really the purpose of this. It's to help you to come up with practical tools that you can use and be able to deploy, and getting some understanding, to putting a tangible understanding of what is going on actually with a blockchain, and being able to do some coding and actually play around with the elements that are there. That's it from me, I think.
Thanks, Nikhil. That was great. Just a question for you then that you can, once you're here, you can answer live. So it's around what skill level or understanding in programming or blockchain should we have before attending the course?
So we'll basically give you some supplementary reading to do, but that's more about actually setting up the data environment on your own machine, okay? It's not so much around having to be able to code. If you've got a little bit of coding experience and you have a little bit of understanding on, how to read a little bit of code, you'll get much more out of the session. But if you don't have any experience at all, you'll still be able to appreciate and look at and get an understanding of what's going on with, say, the coding taxonomy and language that is utilized. But you'll get more out of it if you yourself, are able to have a little bit of understanding about, some of the basics of coding that we'll be deploying in this particular environment as well. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And one more then, in terms of from Abhigyan, who's asking, won't smart contracts based on DLT have jurisdiction issues?
Certainly, that's
More of a legal question, right?
Well, yes, it depends, right? It depends if you're talking about public networks or private networks, okay? And it depends on the location of the nodes, of course. And yes, certain. So it all depends on what part you're interacting with, whether it's the public blockchain or the private blockchain. By far and large, within the enterprise environment, you're talking about private permission chains, whereby all this kind of stuff is built for players, where all this kind of stuff is already written into the contracts and into the technology itself. So therefore, to that extent, it is solved, right? But if you're talking about this and public blockchains and things like that, that's much more of a legal question than a technology question.
Yep. And just on that, we'll have obviously Victoria Thompson participate in the module as well, who's sort of head of legal at Barclays. So she has a good understanding of the tech/legal implications, and we can answer some of that offline if you like. And then Anna's asked, will we see private blockchains? But I guess you've answered that. So I'm assuming a lot of the hands-on stuff will get a bit of exposure to the two different frameworks.
Certainly, we'll be interacting with both public and private blockchains. Yeah.
Perfect, Nikhil. Thanks for that. It's a pleasure to have you.